The reality is that we are preparing learners today to function professionally and to make a meaningful contribution to societies which will look unlike anything we know today. It's an oft-quoted fact that the most in-demand jobs in 2010 did not even exist in 2004. So we are now preparing students for jobs that may not have even been invented. Hence, there is an urgent need to complement specific discipline knowledge, competence, with transferable skills, as the Commissioner mentioned this morning, and competencies that the modern knowledge worker can carry with them across disciplines and professional environments. It used to be said that the average person would expect to have 1 career and 3 jobs in a lifetime. Now, it's predicted to be 5 to 7 careers with 15 jobs during a working lifetime. It's also been mentioned that the job description is in fact dead. We no longer have a piece of paper on which it says, this is what you should do. Because people are expected to be adaptable, adaptable to change, to be flexible, to work independently in French today and as part of a team in Chinese tomorrow. On the linguistic skills front, it is quite ironic, when you think about it, that most, if not all countries in Europe, make it mandatory for secondary school students to learn a second language. But very few, if any, universities do. Doctors and teachers need also to be accountants. Engineers need to be able to contract for tender. Actors and musicians need to know how to promote and market themselves via the internet today. In my opinion, blanketing transferable skills and calling them soft skills is a misnomer and plain wrong. They are essential for the future employment, or as Professor Teichler said, to be professionally relevant, and they cannot be relegated to an afterthought. They are also not add-ons to an academic discipline. They need to be embedded into curricula across all disciplines and at all levels. Skills such as being able to take responsibility, take leadership, demonstrate creativity, initiative, flexibility, managing conflict situations, even coaching and mentoring are skills that the modern worker, knowledge worker needs. And they should be embedded in curricula. And this curricula should be complemented by, as was mentioned earlier today, internships and work placements. Also as part of our curricula and for credit, so that young learners and older learners have ample opportunity to practice these skills ahead of joining the labour market. Now, this requires a stringent rethinking of how we teach knowledge, importantly how we assess knowledge and skills, and how we complement the core mission of education, of cognitive intelligence, with emotional intelligence and cultural intelligence. My second point is about lifelong learning. Indelibly intrinsic to the reality of this speed of change within modern world and the demands of the labour market is the need for post-secondary education institutions to embrace their expected role in supporting lifelong learning opportunities. Now, over the last decade, I would say that we have, in Europe, slowly begun to embrace this reality. Just last week, I was contacted by the Centre for Lifelong Learning at the University of Liverpool in the UK. However, we have an awful long way to go if we are to realise really what lifelong learning means for post-secondary education institutions in the same way as it does in the United States and Australia, for example. Unfortunately, the concept of lifelong learning is too often perceived as offering middle managers an executive MBA to get them up the corporate ladder. This is not what lifelong learning means. By definition, lifelong learning means just that. Learning all the way through the life cycle as people switch careers, change jobs, or their existing job expectations require new skills. 20 years ago, employers used to say, just give me a raw graduate, I'll do the rest. I'll train them up. I'll spend money on them. 10 years ago, employers wanted oven-ready graduates that they didn't need to train, that could go straight into the work environment. Today, employers want self-basting employers and graduates. That means graduates that know themselves that they have to continually upgrade their skills and retrain. And retrain, so post-secondary institutions need to provide opportunities for upgrading skills, reskilling, relearning, learning new technologies, new competencies. They need to develop new programs and courses, both short and long-term, certificate, diploma, degree courses. Studied part-time, full-time, online, distance, or a combination of all four. And it's important that these opportunities are offered in a manner and a delivery mode which fits with modern lifestyles, work-life balances for the modern age. One of the previous speakers talked about India. The Open University of India has 1.2 million students. Providing these different types of educational opportunities does not, as my critics would say, diminish the status of the modern learning community, be it a university, a polytechnic, vocational or liberal arts or community college. Rather, they enhance it. Which brings me to my final comment, or call to arms, and this was mentioned earlier as well. There is a need for the diversification of post-secondary higher learning. If we are to move towards a new paradigm of what we teach, learn, when, and how, then by necessity we have to rethink our institutions of learning. And notice I've deliberately avoided using the term higher education institutions, because this suggests an old elitist model which we are familiar with in Europe. But that was BY, before yesterday. We are now AT, after tomorrow. And we need to have institutions which can diversify their educational provision to at least 3 types of tomorrow's willing learners. The first is those destined to be academic researchers and post-secondary teachers. The second, those who will be the foundation of non-academic knowledge workers. And the third, both academic and knowledge workers who will swap jobs in 10 years' time. Thank you very much.